New York City mayoral candidate, communist Zoran Mamdani, reportedly calling up the Big Apple's biggest business leaders, trying to convince them his socialist experiment will destroy the city. He apparently had a friendly chit-chat with J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, despite the executive calling him a Marxist just last month. True. But this charm offensive on Manhattan's financial elite has serious limitations. Good luck convincing them about the benefits of massive tax hikes, rent freezes, city-run grocery stores. Even New York's Democrat governor, Kathy Hochul, seems to get it, telling business leaders that she favors free enterprise over Mamdani's policies. He could win. What happens if you were in Dimon's shoes? Would you tell him to his face, if you get elected and do any of this, I'm leaving with all my employees and I'm going to leave this building empty?
First of all,
I'm going to default.
I love the way you position all of it. I think it's great.
Sorry.
I love it. I love it. I think the first question I have is he just playing the greatest political game? Does he really believe all this craziness?
Who, Mamdani?
Yeah. Does he really believe it, or is he really appealing to an audience that he thinks are going to show up and vote and then say, you know what, the grocery store thing was conceptual.
Yeah.
Freezing rents were conceptual. He's doing a great job of at least polarizing people. And right now, I don't think there's anybody on this panel that thinks he's going to lose.
I hope that you're right. I hope he's just, positioning for a vote, but I'm scared that he's not, and I think a lot of other New Yorkers are. To go back to Jamie Dimon, one thing he is not is a socialist, a Marxist, or a communist. So some of these big business leaders might be taking the call and having conversations because they're afraid of what might happen if he comes here and they realize they're going to have to pivot and make decisions. But I don't really think that you're going to pull the wool over any of these CEOs' eyes about what's happening here. What I'm particularly interested in, though, is the new entrant into the race, Joseph Hernandez. Cuban-born biotech entrepreneur, raised in a socialist, communist society, understands business, understands the perils that come with controlled government in that way. He is a fresh face. The latest Siena poll shows Mamdani with 44%, Cuomo 25%, Sliwa 12%, and Adams at 7%. Okay, 12% are undecided right now. This race really doesn't start until after Labor Day. If those three on the right side of the screen drop out and Joseph Hernandez gets some wind behind his back, he's already raised $300,000, you could see something interesting here. What I don't like is the fact that the three candidates we're talking about, that are not Mamdani, they're kind of old to me. They're kind of stale. Sliwa's run, he's lost. Adams, people aren't in love with him, and he's had some scandal behind him. Cuomo's scandal also, and people actually really dislike him. So I think a fresh face to go up against this guy, let's do a debate. It could be really interesting.
You know what? I think that's right. That race starts in earnest later. And I also agree with you that I don't know that Mamdani, when push comes to shove, is going to stick with everything. But here's the problem. His biggest backers, like the ones who really want him in office, I think are ideologically committed to the things he's pitching. And they're the guys who are going to run. This city bureaucracy is huge, and they're going to run all of those different spots in the bureaucracy. And just like in D.C. with the swamp, they're going to create rules and regulations and policies, and you're going to end up getting Mamdani, even if he backs off the grocery stores. Maybe he backs off that. Bet he won't back off the rent freeze. Bet he won't do that, and they'll make that happen. So you'll end up getting even worse than what he would have done, because they're the real zealots here.
He knows his audience. He understands who he's talking to, and he has the ability to, get up there and try to charm people with these free handout offers of low rent, low grocery prices, all that stuff. And what I think he realizes is this notion that a vast majority of voters do not understand basic economics. They do not understand that our government, whether it's the federal government, the state government, local government, which includes New York City, these governments have no money. All they do is they take money from high earners and then they redistribute it in manners that they think are going to be efficient.
Taking a slice of it.
Correct. And when you do that enough, and you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, you eventually run out of Peters to rob, and then the Pauls have nothing. So I think that's a potential situation. Dagan, to your point about Jamie Dimon, there's certainly a situation that could play out whereby you have some of these larger corporations, and maybe not even the publicly traded corporations that we're talking about. I'm a YPO member, Young Presidents Organization. I'm talking to these business owners in the New York City chapters on a regular basis every single day. They are doing everything possible to find a way to support any candidate not named Mamdani.
You got to give him a choice.
Yeah.
And the choices aren't there today, and I think
That's why I like the fresh face.
Yeah, you got to give him a choice.
Yeah.
You asked, though, I believe Mamdani is a true believer. And that he is so, well, he's overcome with his own arrogance and sense of self, but he thinks that he can make this work, that he can, these ideas, like he can do what Stalin couldn't and Castro couldn't. He's going to implement these ideas and they're going to work. Everything that we know about him says, I believe in Marxism and communism. And it's not about free stuff. It's not about giving. It's actually about taking. It's about taking power and taking control over people and deciding who gets what. And that's what I find so insidious.
I don't even think moderately liberal people think it's a good idea. I don't think everybody thinks it's a good idea to hand stuff out to people. And at the end of the day, is he either going to back off the rhetoric or he's going to win on it and then he's going to change? Because nobody in the city council and other folks aren't going to let it all happen.
I don't think, it's interesting. I don't know that the electorate thinks he's as extreme as we do when we look at his policies. I talk to some of the young people who support him, and they're like, well, he just wants to kind of do the right thing. He's a soft kind. He's not going to do anything extreme. It's just a little bit of here and a little bit there. We look at it and say people aren't going to build apartments. They look at it and say they're going to knock down my rent a few bucks, and I like that. So if the public doesn't think he's extreme, then he actually achieves what he wants to achieve. I'm just the nice guy. I'm not Cuomo. I'm not Adams. I'm not Sliwa. I'm the nice guy. Vote for the nice guy.
If he wins, they won't need to freeze rents. The rents will come down because the demand will go down.
That's true.
And the supply will go up.
That's
We
true.
shall see.
Yep. We'll also get to see how united the global intifada vote is.
Right.
Someone raised that issue with me, that who's more united? The Jewish population, people who are against essentially obliterating Israel, and Jews around the globe, or the global intifada movement. And it's a very frightening proposition.
Yeah, I'll just say this one thing. I think the Jews in this community and the moderate Democrats that you're talking about are much smarter than to fall for any of this. And I think that they do have a larger representation than the small slice that voted in the primary. I know he made a splash in that way, but I think it's going to gear up to be a pretty interesting race and an interesting fall.